So how does a community organizing perspective or even social pragmatism help move beyond the impasse? So,
Yeah, that's great.
and this could be interreligious, but it could also be within the same religion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the Asian and Asian American church where there's contestation between generations.
Yeah.
Right. So there's conflicting cultural norms, normative sources of authority, how they see the world, et cetera. And that needs to be navigated or there becomes fracturing of community.
That's right.
So on this larger issue of disagreement and contestation, how does the spirit of community organizing as well as social pragmatism help?
Yeah. I mean, I think this is really important because it's social pragmatism provides for us a sense that there is already a world of plural values. So we've got people feel differently about different things. We value the goods of the world in different ways and at different amounts. And so this is a good thing, and it's not a bad thing. And so again, the social pragmatism just helps us understand the value pluralism, right, which is really important. But it also then helps us understand, the social pragmatism understands that the relationships of difference are relationships, and they're very deep relationships. So we think about, this is the undergirding philosophy of this, how it is that these relationships get established in terms of identities in the first place, and then bring us into actual relationships, deeper relationships, right? This is just how the spirit of our ethical relationships get off the ground and build into something else in the first place. And this is grounded in the philosophical theology of G.W. Hegel, right? So we think about the dialectic here, which is, we don't need to go into this, but it's just important to understand that material differences are deep relationships. And it's the determined difference, like the clear actual difference, they're deep relationships. And that's really—
In other words, difference is a form of relationship.
Yeah, amen, 100%. And it's a very deep one. It's not a superficial one. And so that there's deep potential there. And especially then when you think about this in terms of sacred values, what it is we hold most dear, the goods and the people in the world that we hold sacred, that we find that their value is objective, that it is inviolable, and that it's something that is incomparable. It's not something that's on a scale. It's something that's just axiomatic, just there. Like, yes, if I'm using my children here, like the value of my sons, yeah, it's clearly that they have sacred value. That it doesn't fall on a scale in terms of money, right? That I can't value my son's life in terms of money. But it also is something that if somebody were to hurt my son, like, no, there's the reactions that I have, the metaphysical reactions, like, oh no, clearly you are infringing and violating a value that is in my that is in the ontology of being of my son, right? So these are certain sort of values, evaluative attitudes that we take up to people because of the way in which we love them. But people feel differently about different things. The abolitionist believes that the mass incarceration system infringes and violates the sacred value of the human dignity of an individual. The abortion rights activist thinks that, the fetus is a person and abortion violates the sacred value of personhood. The Native American, lands right activist believes that certain land is held sacred, and the current use of it violates the way in which they hold it sacred. So we feel differently about these different things, but they're relationships, and they all, and they throw us into the fight. And so what the important practices then of community organizing, right, of the relational meeting, which is a public, intentional, time-limited, value-directed conversation between two people about what it is they hold most dear and what they're willing to do to protect and fight for it. That's a practice that helps us attend to, listen to the other, give testimony to our own experiences, and then to discern the way that God is moving for the Christian, the way that God's Spirit is moving us into deeper relationship with this person and out into public. It's much easier to say that we have these enclaves that we're just different. It's much more difficult but much more worthwhile to discover these stories of self and other that bring us into different relationships with each other, and how it is that we can appreciate and take the other seriously as a reasoner who cares deeply about the world in the similar way that I do, but perhaps ends up on different places, and how it is that we are actually like bound together, what the relationships then of solidarity look like. So that's how organizing, what the payoff then is for the practices of organizing around the differences in sacred value.